So hello everyone and welcome to Art Salon. I'm Ellie Shore and I am the organizer of Art Salon. I've been doing this for 7 years now. It's my total pleasure to host these every month, and I tend to go to, people who know me know that I go to art exhibits all over South Florida, constantly at openings whenever I can be, and looking for the most exciting artists, the most interesting people doing all kinds of innovative things. And I keep finding more and more people, and these art salons just continue to roll along. So with that, I would like to introduce Erica Ando. Erica is a delightful person that I've been getting to know over a bunch of years now. I met her at FAU. She was at many of the the exhibition openings that I was going to there. We got to know each other, and then as it is with everyone in the arts community, once you know somebody, you keep seeing them over and over again. We keep meeting in all kinds of places, which is also true for a lot of people in this room. Erica has a bachelor's in fine arts from Parsons School of Design in New York and a master's in fine arts from Tyler School of the Arts in, I think, Philadelphia, and had a business for a lot of years, I think 8 years, in fashion design accessories. So she's had her own business and developed a lot of business skills in that. And I'm not sure of the time frame. I'm as much looking forward to her talk as anyone in the room. But she was an art critic for a number of years and had work published in a lot of different journals, and got to know a lot of different artists working with all kinds of media. And then came here to Florida, or I'm not sure where this sequence is, but she went back to school and got a PhD in fine and performing arts, which is impressive. And had worked at the Norton for a few years and is now starting this new business, which is coaching artists, her Empowered Artist Coach enterprise. And so it's going to be very exciting to hear what she has to say. Welcome, Erica Ando.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I see a lot of people here that I know, and I see a lot of people that I don't know. So I'm just curious, how many of you are visual artists? Wow, so many. That's awesome. And how many of you are satisfied with the way your careers are going? Yes, yes. Woo, Amy Broderick, yay. Amy, the one, we can all look at her and say, yay.
Because I've known you for so long.
Oh yes, I take total responsibility. I've been thinking for a while about this question. I've been looking at trends in the art world and seeing, what artists are doing and what it's like to be a working artist today. So in 2018, there was an article in Hyperallergic magazine, which, if you don't know, is this great online publication that covers contemporary art and culture. And there was an article that covered a study that had been done, a survey that had been done of over 1,000 artists that gauged their financial situations. And I found a couple of these stats really amazing, really fascinating. So one of them asked, what's your major source of income to these artists? And you can see that a majority of the artists said that they make their income from freelance or contract work. And then people have jobs, right? Jobs that are related to art, jobs that are unrelated to art. But then you see at the bottom, gallery sales. Gallery sales account for, it's so negligible they didn't even put a number on it. It's something like, something like 0 to 1% or something like that. Okay, so to me this is completely crazy, because the global art market is a $67 billion industry. So this makes me think there's something wrong, and it makes me realize that somebody is making money, somebody's paying for art, okay? So let's hold on to that idea. Another question that was asked was, how are artists learning about finances? How are artists learning to be financially stable? Well, most artists are just kind of winging it. Yes, you're nodding, winging it, right? Or they're just talking to their peers, they're talking to fellow artists, just trying to figure it out, not really knowing what to do. And then all down the line, but there's really no way that people are getting information about how to develop their careers and develop their businesses. And I know I'm saying a lot about money here, but money and careers are very connected. Even if money isn't your sole objective, it does make a difference that you're able to support yourself. Okay, so I wanted to look at this a little bit deeper, and there are a lot of cultural factors going on that are contributing to this. A lot of small and mid-sized galleries have been closing down, say in the last 5 years, many of them. What that means is that for a lot of emerging and mid-career artists, the gallery system isn't really viable. You have rents that are out of control in big cities, so artists are not able to go to these, what would be considered art centers, where there are a lot of energetic artists who are coming together to create an art community. And this is happening all over the world. It's happening not just in New York and San Francisco and LA, but it's happening in Berlin and London. And this is like a joke because it's an ATM machine that is installed in a section of the Berlin Wall. So I know this sounds like a lot of doom and gloom. It is very depressing. It sounds so terrible. Why did I come here? But I think it's a great time to be an artist. I think it's a great time to be an artist because you don't have to have gallery representation. You don't have to live in a big city. You don't have to do all these other things that have been this prescribed way of being an artist. But of course there are obstacles, and there are cultural ideas about what it means to be an artist that can hold people back from pursuing these other avenues, pursuing other ways of being an artist. And so I don't know if anybody has ever heard of a pure artist, or maybe you can guess what a pure artist might be. So pure artist would be somebody who just lives and breathes art. I mean, this is a late 19th century idea, right? An artist who lives and breathes art, doesn't need money, is just, engrossed in her art and makes money in some very mysterious way, right? I mean, it's an idea that developed at the turn of the century when pure art separated from applied art. Okay, so applied art, commercial art, crafts, right? So I'm sure that my ceramics people know about this big difference between fine arts and ceramics or crafts or anything like that. Now, I'm not saying that we have these ideas still, but the outcome of having these ideas have affected how we go about in the world and how we become artists. So some of the outcomes of having this idea are artists can devalue their work because they don't see it in market terms. So I see often that artists, they don't even know how to price their work. They give their work away for free. They give their time away for free, or just don't even know how to value it. Another thing that can happen is that there's a resistance to learning about these business skills because, we don't want to be like those people. We don't want to be like those, crass commercial people. So there's a resistance to learning about selling, marketing, promoting, and things that could actually help you develop a career. Now, an example, so Van Gogh might be that example, right, of this pure artist. He's so into his art. But the fact is that Van Gogh had a brother who supported him. So he's one of these people who had family support, So people are making money in some way. I think that artists actually want to learn these skills. I mean, I hear that people want to learn about these skills, and I see these courses like Artist as Entrepreneur, Creative Capital, and I think these are great courses, okay? So I urge you to take them. They're really good. But they're like weekend classes, or a weekend workshop, or it could be several weekends over a month. And while they're really good, I feel like I think that they're really the basics, and the thing is that it's really hard to take all that information and then know how to apply that to your own career, because everybody is different, and really everybody is very different. The other thing is that you don't have the support and the accountability to carry out what you're learning. I'm not saying that it's impossible, it's just very hard. You know, artists are, everybody has a different kind of career, and so that is why I founded The Empowered Artist. My goal, my aim is to help artists build their careers in a way that feels right for artists, in a way that builds careers and is part of a thriving career and life. And I really am very dedicated to having people make their careers part of their rich life. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, and maybe this will answer some of your questions, Ellie. So as Ellie said, I went to Parsons and got my BFA in sculpture, and I went to Tyler School of Art and I got my MFA in sculpture, which are very lucrative career. It's a very lucrative career to have. And this is also proof that I did do a watercolor once, and I was probably a sophomore in college when I did that. And this is a horribly grainy picture because it's a photograph of a print photograph, and I was trying to avoid the glare on the glass, so I had my phone camera and I was taking it like this, so the image was this big out of the whole image, and then I cropped it. But anyway, this is probably my junior year, and I'm sitting in a structure that I built in my sculpture class. I think I had a great art education. I'm looking at Jeannie Jaffe here because we have a person in common, Winifred Lutz, who was a professor of mine, and who, you know, when I think about it now, I feel that she had such a huge influence on the way I approach things even now. And she definitely had her approach to, let's say, critiques and studio visits really ended up influencing me in my writing because of her generosity and the way that she would look at things in this very open way. So after I graduated, I had a number of art world jobs, like I worked in a commercial gallery, which I will never do again, ever, which was terrible. I was an artist assistant, which was great, and I learned a lot from seeing these really great artists up close, like just working with them every day. I worked with Karen Finley, who was a performance artist, and I also worked with Arakawa and Madeline Gins, who I don't know if anybody knows, but they're gone, they're deceased now. But he's known as a painter, very well known as a painter, and she was known as a poet. But together, their work is known for their visionary architecture. So it's this kind of collaborative working together, this kind of what you can make when you go after your interests and not concerned so much about the thing that you're making, that I think your work can be really, really interesting and really, really rich. So had these art world jobs and ended up gravitating to design because I made more money and I didn't have to deal with artists and their, you know, weirdness and craziness, and, you know, there are people who don't believe that you should have to eat or, you know, things like that. So I wanted to go into design. I wanted to be in a place where I could actually make things every day. I ended up working in fashion design, and then as a 20-something-year-old inexperience with, you know, chutzpah, I said, I can do this. I can start my own business. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking, because at that time, I knew way less than anybody ever knew. I just thought, oh, you just make your stuff, and then you sell it. So it was a fashion accessories business. And I guess I was essentially a textile designer. I have no background in textile design, but that's what I did. My first customer was the Museum of Modern Art store, which was awesome. And I had this business for 8 years. I learned a tremendous amount because, well, I had to learn because I started from nothing, right? So I had to learn something. And again, remember that I had this kind of pure artist ideas going on here. And so the idea of selling my stuff was very, very strange to me. And as an introvert, selling was not my thing. But I learned, I figured out how to sell, which was amazing. And so I know it can be done. I really know it can be done. I learned all kinds of things about, working with contractors and things like that. And I sold my stuff all over the world. I had stuff in magazines, and I guess I was successful. I made money, but I was really miserable. I was really beaten down. I never took a break. I never took care of myself, basically. I was like, just go, go, go. And it really wore me down. And so I think I learned a lot from that. I learned that you just have to take care of yourself because otherwise you're no good. You're not good for your work. You're not good for your relationships. You're not good for your health. And that's what was happening to me. Everything was, going to pot. So when you see people who are successful, you really have to look, at what's going on. And if they are, the happy, successful career person back there with the happy kids, and, that's awesome. I love that. So I moved down here to Florida, and I was really at a crossroads about what to do. And as Ellie said, I joined the PhD program at FAU, and I started writing. And I first started writing about art in New York, and then the last few years I was down here writing some more. Again, the people at FAU, I feel like that has just become my community, and now the Armory, because I take ceramic classes here, and I see these guys all the time. Not as much as I would like, but so what I learned from all this writing and looking at other artists was that there's really no one path to having a successful career. There's no one path. Everybody has to find their way. And to some extent, that trial and error thing is true, but not really. I think everybody has to figure out, what their interests are and get very clear about how they're going to grow. And it's not, the growth we're looking at isn't always upwards. It's also outwards. And I think that is kind of hard to describe, but I'll keep trying. So I'm really interested, my mission is to help artists build their careers in a way that feels good to them. It must feel good to you, otherwise, what is the use? It's not about a cookie cutter, this is the CV that I want. It's not like that. It's not about, it may be what you want, and that's fine. And maybe what somebody else has is not what you want, and that's fine too. So, in terms of how I work with people, everybody works differently. I'm a coach, so what I do is I coach people, and I coach people one-on-one. And everybody is at a different place in their careers, has different goals, has different interests, and that is perfect. We're not trying to funnel everybody into the same career path. But one question that I always get asked is, whether people work with me or not, is what about marketing? Marketing. So what do you guys think about marketing? Do you like marketing? Yes, no? You think it's bad? Marketing is no. I'm seeing no. So yes, when we in art think about marketing, we think that it's sleazy, we think it's gross, we think we don't want to do that, it's yucky, right? For me, marketing is something else. Yes, we don't want to be like this guy, Jeff Koons. Or I don't want to be like that. If people want to be like that, that's good for you. Good. You do you. For me, I think that marketing can do amazing things. I think it can create community. I think it can clue people in on context. It's a communication tool, and it's the thing that is between you and your work. And for me, and I'm not pulling this out of a hat. This kind of marketing where people are just kind of showing off and trying to elbow the other guy. I think that that's really old style marketing, and maybe people do that. But there is a newer kind of marketing that is really based on a few different ideas that I'm really committed to. And I'm really committed to having artists just reframe marketing so they can see it as communicating, as a way to reach people they want to reach. And it's really not about, how many likes you have, because who cares, it's not about how many likes you have. It's that the people who like you really want to hear from you, like you, right? It's not about appealing to the masses. That's like 1960s style marketing and PR. We're not trying to sell to whatever is in the middle. We're kind of selling on the fringes, right? We're kind of on the fringes. So, finding those people is what actually social media is great at, because of the reach, not because of popularity. Other things, patience. And I'm just going to put these up here because I'm okay, so this is actually a real Ed Ruscha, but it doesn't look like an Ed Ruscha, if people know what an Ed Ruscha looks like. This looks more like what Ed Ruscha is known for, but I found this online and it's not his. And then I'm kind of proud of the fact that I made that. And I think it's not perfect, but. So these three ideas, I always think these are really important when marketing, because we always have to remember that there's a person on the other end of our marketing efforts. And it's really hard, when you're, scrolling through your phone or looking online, or that's how you do marketing. It's really hard to remember that there's a person on the other end of marketing. Respect the fact that they're people. Have patience, because and the fallacy of all this digital, social media and the speed of things is that people get things right away, and they don't. They really don't. They need to see you many times before they even understand what you're saying. So be patient with them. It's not like, oh, here I am, take it or leave it. It's not like that. Be patient with them, and then be generous. So share of yourself. Share what you have to give, and the people who like you will love you. They will love you. They won't just click the like. They will love you because you're giving of yourself. And that to me is great marketing. That to me is marketing that creates community, creates dialogue, and brings people together. When I work with people, I urge them to write, not to become writers, but just so that they can communicate. I urge them, even if it's a word, you don't have to even write in sentences. I say put words to your work and make opportunities for yourself to talk about your work. And that is pretty easy to do, I think. If your work's up in the gallery, invite people to come and hear you talk, right? Even if it's impromptu, you've got a pre-made audience, in the ceramic studio. You just grab them and say, my work's up. Let me tell you about it. I'm going to talk to you about it for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then with the people I work with, we make a plan. So we make a plan that works, that feels good for, it's got to feel good, it's got to feel right. It can't feel sleazy, because if it does, you're not going to follow through. And sure, I love a good marketing plan. I love it all. However, I think no matter how good your marketing plan is, if you don't have the mindset to carry it through, it's not going to work. Okay? It does not matter how good your plan is. If you think, people don't really want to see my work, you're not going to be able to market properly. So knowing what you're offering, being really clear to yourself that this is the value you're giving, is going to allow you to market properly and to have people actually see you. There's a marketing person that I love. His name is Seth Godin, and he says, you know him? Oh, love him, right? Love him. Yeah, I love him. So, but he says, you can't be seen until you learn how to see, right? So you must see the people. This goes back to the respect and the patience. You must see the people that you're marketing to. And that is part of the clarity that you develop, I think, as you develop the mindset to say no sometimes, to set boundaries, to maybe get over your perfectionism, to just get out of your own way, because that, to get out of your own way, because those are the things that are going to keep you from being able to carry this marketing plan through. It's going to happen, and as you go along in your career and you develop this career, and the stakes get higher, I mean, it's inevitable. It's not even inevitable. It's part of the fact that you put yourself out there, you're going to get rejected, okay? You're going to get rejected. You're going to get criticized. It's not when you get criticized or when you get rejected. It just happens. I mean, I get rejected all the time. That's just what, yeah, right? All those applications, right? Get rejected. And so actually, all those things, respect, generosity, and patience, you must have for yourself in order to have for other people. Okay? So just have patience with yourself. Ooh, yes. Wise words. So you must just develop. I don't even want to say it's a thick skin because that sounds kind of not nice, but when you take the small knocks, I mean, you eventually can take the big knocks. That's just how it happens, you know. And it's part of having a career. It's part of putting yourself out there and just being who you are. And when you are authentic, some people maybe don't like it, and you know what? I think that's fine, and I think that's great because it means that you can reach the people who really like you. I'd rather have 10 people who really want to hear from me than 100 who are like, meh, you know? And this is the thing, it's not about the numbers. It's not about the number of likes or follows or subscribers that you have. It's that the ones that you have are the ones who want to hear from you. And so if you don't have this mindset, you don't have this clarity, it's a little bit like throwing spaghetti up on a wall and seeing what sticks, right? So, you know, when Ellie put out the flyer for this talk, I think there was a question in there, you know, who's the CEO of your art business? I don't know if anybody saw that. And I think that's what I was thinking back then when we were talking about this talk. And I know it sounds really out of context, but at the time I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. Who's the boss? You know, see, the CEO is the boss, okay? The CEO is the person who figures out, is this a good partnership? Is this a good exhibition to show in? The CEO is not thinking about who's going to make the photocopies, right? So these higher level questions are what the boss asks. And so who's the boss? And if you don't have the clarity to know what you want, it's very hard to make these decisions. It's very hard to make the kind of decisions that will actually move you forward, because sometimes you can be making decisions that actually push you back if you're not clear about your objectives. So I'm going to talk about a couple of artists, and they're just random artists, and I'm not in any way saying that you should be like them or that they're the best artists in the world or anything like that. I could have picked any couple of artists, but it's just to show how this lateral working of art can happen. So Jana Vinderen is, she works with sound, she does installations, concerts, and she records sounds that are remote and inaccessible. And then she creates out of them. She has a background in math, in fish ecology, all, you know, She has very different interests. And I'm guessing that all of you have some kind of interest outside of art, right? And I'm not saying that you have to go and, sit on a boat and record a water in Miami, but there are ways where you can expand your art laterally, not just expand it up, right? It's not about making bigger or more, which is fine too, but there are other ways to expand your art that can spread your interests, can have you working with other people with similar interests, and then it's fun. You can have fun doing it. Another artist is here, Christine Sun Kim. She's an artist who was actually in the Whitney Biennial, so she's a visual artist, but she's a deaf artist, and her work is about sound and about the lack of sound in spaces. So I like the two artists who are working in sound and not visual, because the other artists too showed at Art Basel. So I kind of like that. So when we talk about works, somebody's work, I like to think of work as this like practice, and not so much about that painting or that photograph or that sculpture, but is this her work? This is absolutely her work. This is absolutely part of her work. It's no less, I think, of her work than the stuff that's in the Whitney. And so when you think about your practice of your art in terms of practice like that, you can build a kind of career, build something that works on many different levels, reaches many different kinds of people, and I think this is pretty amazing, actually. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise. We have time to do a little exercise? Okay, it's a clarity exercise, okay? And you'll be so clear about everything after that. This is called the perfect day exercise. So if you don't have a pencil, take it, type it into your phone. This is something you can take home, and honestly, for some people, it takes a week for them to be able to do this. So the exercise is, what does your perfect day look like? And to really imagine what that day looks like from the time you wake up in the morning in detail. In detail. What are you wearing? What do you drink? What time do you wake up? What do you do? And practically make a schedule. Make a schedule as if, this is actually your perfect day. At noon, I see my friends for lunch. At 1 o'clock, I go back to the studio, whatever that is. So make this schedule for yourself, and if you want to, let's do a few minutes. And I would say, since we don't have a lot of time, do the thing that first pops into your mind. Don't censor yourself. Just think, what would make my day perfect? What would make my day perfect, including my perfect career? I'm meeting with, somebody from the Public Art Commission. I am meeting with the people who are fabricating my work. I am in the studio, loading the kiln. So we'll do this for 3 minutes. Okay, I know you're all writing. Just finish up what you're doing.
Got to lunch.
You got to lunch? Was it tasty? You haven't had it yet.
Yeah, that's as far as I got.
Okay. So anything notable, anything that stuck out? Anything? Sure. You want to share?
Me?
Yeah?
Me read what I,
No, just one thing.
what stuck out? Well, I included marketing
Okay.
in my daily
Marketing, okay.
routine, and I put
Okay.
in parentheses, emails, website updates,
Okay.
and phone calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Yeah.
I had talked to my marketing assistant. Help me with all that, make sure.
So you're gonna have your assistant do your marketing.
At some point, that's my perfect day.
Yes, that is, yeah, that's awesome. I want somebody to do my social media too. Anybody else? Yeah,
Mine is not to have the phone for a whole day.
awesome. That's a good one.
What was that, not to have what?
I have a phone for the whole day.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Not what?
a phone
Not have a phone for a whole day?
for a whole day, right?
You know, it's funny when you said describe your perfect day, I thought of like a day off. Yeah. So I don't think so much about my studio practice, because for me, that's like my
Yeah.
perfect day. Even
That's
though I
so
love
interesting.
doing it.
That's so interesting. So, okay.
Yeah, we go ahead.
All right, so you can finish this at home, and it is a little, I think it's kind of hard to think about what would be so perfect that this would be, this is how I want to live for the rest of my life. Okay, so this is your homework, okay? Here's your homework. And the people who work with me know that I give homework. Do something on that list, okay? Do something on that list. And so if you're thinking, okay, my perfect day is a day off, right? And right now, you're not taking any days off, so don't take the whole day off. Take 15 minutes off. Take 30 minutes off, okay? And then rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Because the idea is this perfect thing that you want to get to, your goal, what's the thing that's really less important than getting that right now is that you build in the habits to get that at some point, right? So if your goal is to spend an hour marketing and you're not doing any right now, you might want to start with 10 minutes. Don't do all the email, website this. Spend 20 minutes working on your website. Build the habit, okay? So have the big vision and take small steps to get there. And what's really important is the habit, not the thing, not the thing. And that's how you will get there. Don't wait, do it tomorrow, okay? Do it tomorrow, don't wait. So for the empowered artist, for an empowered artist, life is challenging, it's messy, it's ever evolving. But that is a life that's worth living. So thank you.